I am Andy Temte, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Muse. Start your weekend with musings that are designed to support your journey of personal and professional continuous improvement. Today is February the 22nd, 2025. If you haven't noticed already, we've embarked on an extended journey to discuss financial literacy on this show. The statistics I've shared with you over the last few weeks are a wake-up call regarding the dire position that we are in as a country. We don't even rank in the top 10 in financial literacy amongst other developed nations. So I'm compelled to use this forum and my background as a financial educator to help as many people as I can make progress on their journey toward financial literacy and ultimately to financial freedom. So, for the foreseeable future, I'll be creating and releasing short 7 to 10 minute lessons each Saturday morning on money, investing, credit, tax, economics, insurance, retirement, and everything else you need to improve your grasp on important financial topics. There will be no gimmicks, no get-rich-quick schemes, and no ulterior motives. Just useful financial information presented in an approachable, digestible fashion. And we may, I stress may, even have a little bit of fun along the way. Now, my ask of you is this. What do I get in return? If you find value in this series, please share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. The goal is to improve the financial literacy of as many people as possible. Now, we're going to begin with the basics of financial literacy, just like any other educational journey. And over the next few episodes, we're actually going to be taking a few steps back to focus on a few preconditions for financial literacy, just like we did last week with our discussion of numeracy and mathematical literacy and their importance on financial literacy. Now, this week, our conversation centers on the very important concepts and interrelationships between value, price, and decision-making. Now, if you look up the word value in the dictionary, it's a word that carries many meanings in the English language. It can be used as a noun, a verb, and as an adjective. When I'm using the word value in this episode, I am not talking about being cheap or buying only inexpensive things. For our purposes, we're going to focus on value as the relative worth, utility, also known as usefulness, or importance of a product or service. Now, the word that is common to most definitions of the word value is worth, and it is worthwhile, with the pun is totally intended, for us to pause on its meaning. Now, worth is defined as the value of something measured by its qualities or by the esteem in which it is held. As you can see, both words worth and value have very similar definitions, but the point I'm stressing is the subjectivity of value and worth as indicated by the use of the words relative and esteem in their definitions. So, the value I ascribe to some good or service may be completely different than how you value that same good or service. Now let's turn our attention to the word price. Price is defined as the amount of money expected, required, or given in payment for something, a good or service. The reason for introducing the definitions for both value and price is to stress that price and value are not necessarily the same thing. They're related concepts, but only in the aggregate. The price of a good or service is set and adjusted over time based on the value that prospective buyers of that good or service ascribe to it. each individual prospective buyer will value the product or service differently, some higher, some lower. So the price will be set at the level where the seller and a group of actual, as opposed to prospective buyers of that product or service agree. Now, we're going to talk much more about supply and demand in later episodes, but for now, the point I'd like you to focus on is that price is the result of a market clearing process where buyers and sellers get together and actually trade, and value is a personal opinion based on the worth the individual ascribes to a product or service. Price is determined through real-life transactions, and value is a subjective, individual perspective. Now, why does this discussion of price and value matter to building financial literacy? Well, as humans, we tend to not put enough thought into the worth or value that we assign to the products and services that we purchase. The point of today's Muse is to stress that we'll make better decisions on what we purchase with our hard-earned dollars if we take a bit more time to consider how we place value on the things that we buy. The interesting thing about finance and financial literacy is that it is equal parts objective evaluation of our financial positions, meaning the nuts and bolts and the numbers of it, and our behavioral perspectives about our personal economy, what we buy and sell. How we feel about money, investing, and consumption is as important as the numerical and analytical side of working with our finances. After all, we are the product of our environment, how we grew up, plus the stack of decisions we make as we move through our daily lives as adults. We place far too many of our economic decisions on autopilot, and we don't stop to ask why we do the things we do. Why do I go to the coffee shop 3 times a day? Do I really value all 3 cups of coffee, or am I just in a rut? Am I on autopilot? How about I only go to the coffee shop twice and put the money I would have spent on that 3rd cup of coffee, which I value much less than the first, how about I put that money into a savings account instead? So, financial success is dependent on making better decisions with our money. Making better money decisions depends on our ability to appropriately assign value to the things that we buy. Turning off our mental autopilot tendencies and thinking more consciously about value is a prerequisite to improving our financial position. If you'd like a more in-depth conversation about the difference between price and value, please see my interview with Doug Howarth on the Balancing Act podcast, my other show, from July of 2024. It's a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder of an exercise, but it's a good lesson that is approachable for all. I wish you grace, dignity, and compassion. My name is Andy Temte. This is the Saturday Morning Muse. You can find the show on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share these lessons, these episodes with your family and friends. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Muse.